All of the taxes that you'll need for payroll are already set up in your Main Street software. The only thing that you're going to need to do is, one, go in and set the general ledger accounts that these taxes should post to, and two, on any unemployment tax that you may have to pay, you will have to put in the rate of your unemployment tax. The rates of all the other taxes are automatically in your database and are updated on a regular basis. Now, before we start in the tax section, I just want to quickly make sure you have your chart of accounts set up properly. So you'll need two things in your chart of accounts. One, you'll need a liability account. And if we scroll down here, you can see I have a 2300 payroll taxes payable, and then I have a liability set up for each and every different type of tax. Now, you don't have to go to that length. You can just have one liability called payroll taxes payable or something along those lines and have all of the taxes go into that liability account. That's fine. Some people prefer to have it broken out, but remember there are reports in the payroll module that will give you a breakdown of your taxes, so it's not always necessary to have that breakdown in your general ledger. And the other thing that you'll need to have is an expense account for your payroll. So again, I have a heading there for 6700 payroll, and then I have all of my different payroll items in there, including different expense accounts for different types of taxes. Like I have a FICA expense, a FUTA expense, and so on. But we could just have one payroll tax expense account there, and that would be all we absolutely have to have. So it's up to you. And again, when it comes to anything in general ledger, if you have any questions, you're not sure, it might be best to talk to your accountant and see what they suggest and have them help out with that. All right, once you have your general ledger chart of accounts set up, we're ready to go ahead and set up our different taxes. So we would need to go to payroll and choose taxes. Now again, all the taxes are already in the system, so you're not going to be typing anything in this window here. You're going to need to search up the different tax codes and then edit them. So we're going to go up to the top and double click search, and then there is a list, as you can see, of all the various states and their taxes. Typically, when I start out, though, before I do the state taxes, I go and set up all the different federal taxes. So if we go down to the F's, you can see we've got the federal unemployment, the federal withholding, and the FICA. And so I'm going to go ahead and start with the federal unemployment. I'm just going to highlight that there and click on Edit, or I could double click it. And you can see there's a company paid side and an employee paid side. So different taxes, some are paid by the company, some are paid by the employee, some are paid by both. So if you're not really sure of who pays what, it's okay to just fill in both sides. It won't hurt anything. So if this FUTA here happens to be one that's only paid on the company side, so if you had filled in that employee payable, it wouldn't hurt anything. However, if you want to kind of only set up what you have to, and you're again not sure, you can check our manual. So if you go into help and view manual and then choose payroll, and then if we just go here to the setup taxes and general ledger, and we'll just scroll down just a little bit, and let me just zoom in a little bit there, and you can see we've got this GL accounts by tax code, and you can look through that list and it lists the different tax codes. So for FUTA there, we find that in the list, and then under the company paid, it shows yes for both the expense and the payable and no on the employee paid side. So that's telling us that we only have to worry about the company paid side, and we need both an expense and a payable. So that's what we've done here. In my expense account, I have gone and posted it to my 6722 expense, and then the company payable is my liability account. And then the rate, even though it shows 0, you can see right next to that, it shows that it's supplied by the tax table. So again, that's already in your Main Street database. And you can tell if it's up to date by looking down in the bottom right corner where it says the tax database version. That gives the date of when the payroll tax was last updated. That's always updated around the first of the year. There may be periodic updates throughout the year, although the updates throughout the year generally are only for certain states and or cities in certain states. So you might not have had any updates throughout the year, but you definitely should see an update from the beginning of the year. So if we move into 2013 and it's still showing the database version as being from 1/1 of 012, then we would need to get that updated. And you can download the payroll update. If you're not sure if your taxes are up to date, you can go to our website and go to the download section in the support page and download the latest payroll taxes. And it should have a date of when that update is from. And the last thing I'll mention here is there is a vendor payable to window drop down, and that's where you can go and from your vendor file pick that vendor. It's really not necessary at this time. It really doesn't link into anything. So when it file puts the taxes in the general ledger, it does not create any kind of an AP invoice. So that was, I think, the thinking behind it is you would put your vendor in there, and for all those different taxes, it would just create an invoice every time you ran payroll, and it would know which vendor to make that invoice for. But at this time, that isn't something that happens, so you don't really need to worry about the vendor payable. After you've gotten everything in there that you need to, you're just going to go up to the top and choose the Save icon, and then we can just click back on the list. We don't need to double click search again because we've already generated the list. Then we can go to our federal withholding, and again we do the same thing. Now federal withholding happens to be an employee only side, so we would just need to go to the employee payable, go to our 2000 accounts, and then pick our federal income tax payable or whatever payable you're going to have it post to, and then just choose Save. We would again, of course, do FICA, and then there is one more federal one. If we go down to the M's, there is the Medicare tax rate as well that you'll need to set. And then after that, then I usually go to the state, and we're in Michigan. And so you can see there are 3 Michigan ones. Now the first one is for city and county taxes. Now we here in our area do not have any kind of a city or county tax, but other areas of Michigan do. So if you have an employee that lives in an area where they have a city or county tax, you would of course need to set that up. And then we do have a state income tax. And then the state unemployment tax. And this one is important to mention, so let's go to the Edit tab. As you can see where it's got the rate, next to the rate there is nothing saying that it's supplied by the tax table. This is the only one that you actually have to set the rate because it's different for every business and your state determines that based on a number of factors. So you need to know what your unemployment tax rate is. So again, if this is something you don't know, contact your accountant. They either will know what that number is or they will know the office to contact to get that number. And once you have that number, you'll fill that in. Now, oftentimes you may have this on a sheet of paper and it might show, say, 0.0135. So that's 1.35%. So that is how we would put it in as 1.35, not the 0.0135. We would then go ahead and put in our expense account and company payable. And once you have all of that complete, all your taxes are ready to go. So now whenever you input your payroll, it will automatically calculate all the taxes and then post them to the appropriate expense and payable accounts.